Hey everyone, Jen here with Next Wave Business Coaching. Welcome to another session of Build a Better Business. And today I'm really excited because we're going to dive into a really important topic for all you small business owners. I have a special guest with me, Mary DeYoung from Gray Space Collaborative. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Jen. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Well, thank you for joining me. You and I have talked about this conversation a lot in 2021, and I'm really excited to dive deep into it in 2022. And if all of you are wondering what we're talking about the word culture. We're talking about how do you build a culture for your small business. So first of all, Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Gray Space Collaborative.
Yeah, so I am the founder of Gray Space Collaborative, and myself, is a coaching and consulting firm dedicated to helping small businesses really cultivate cultures where diverse talent can thrive. And I, am a social worker by background, and I think that takes some people by surprise. But why I think that's so helpful to business owners is that coming and working with businesses, I often realize there's really fantastic intentions, but the impact is just not what we're actually aiming for. And I believe that those intentions are true. And I use my background to help cultivate and build the skills with individuals and teams so they can bridge the gap between those intentions and the impact that they're having.
Okay, so one of the words I love that you said was thrive. And I think that's why we think, we wanted to bring this topic. So today we're going to dive into discussing a culture for your small business. And really, what does that mean and how it can help you attract qualified talent and a talent that stays and retains, and your business will succeed and thrive. So, and we have some great resources for you. Today's going to be just kind of top line. We have Mary and I both have great resources for you. So stick till the end and we'll make sure we get those over to you. So first of all, I love that your background social worker, because there's a lot with small business owning that's mindset.
Yes.
And there's times when I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a social work background. But when we think about the word culture, what I'm hearing, and one of the conversations I'm having, let me back up a minute here, is over and over is about hiring. We've seen a huge shift in what's happened with our workforce. If you own a small business, my guess is you are probably a little short-staffed. You're not fully staffed. Over 50% of small business owners right now are short-staffed. And we're seeing a change, and we're seeing a change driven by the employees. The employees are looking for different things. Two of the top things that come up that employees want are value and culture. So I think sometimes the word culture, it seems very ambiguous. It's very big. We're not quite sure how to put our arms around it. Can you help us break that down? When you hear the word culture, when it comes to your workplace, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, great question. And it is somewhat ambiguous, but I think that we all know it when we feel it, right? So one of my favorite examples is I have this little orchid that I got, and I thought it was doing great. It had flowers and stuff. And then we were doing a renovation. So I moved all my plants over to my parents' house where they would not be succumb to all of the dust. And it just boomed, 3 more branches of flowers and leaves. And I was like, wow, okay. That orchid was clearly surviving before, and now it's thriving, right? So when we talk about, and culture is the environment and the things that pour into us that either help us just survive or help us to thrive. Really, when I think about culture is not what you say, it is what you do and how people feel. So when we think about brand, right? Brand is our culture shared externally, right?
Right.
But it's only authentic if it matches, right? So sometimes we think it's easier to think about our brand, right? Our brand sometimes feels a little bit easier to kind of quantify. But culture is, do your employees actually feel that that's true? Do your customers get that when they walk into your space? Are they like, oh, I see that now, or I really get that, why they talk about that? It's the connection between what we hope to be and who we actually are.
I love that. Well, I mean, I love that. And, it's like so important as a small business owner, because you're right. We start a business, we build a brand, we go out there and market the heck out of ourselves. And sometimes we aren't sure what we're marketing. We
Totally.
get so focused on the product or the service that we provide that sometimes we forget to market the whole picture. So, coming off of the pandemic, a lot of buzzwords came out of that, pivot. I think we all get sick of hearing that word. And do you feel like
new normal?
Yeah, the new normal, which is still, we're still saying, do you feel like culture is a buzzword?
I think that we feel like it is a buzzword. Absolutely. But I don't believe that it actually is. Like you were saying, the younger generations care about this. And maybe another way to think about culture is authenticity. The younger generation, specifically millennials and Gen Zs, who will make up about 75% of the workforce, want to work for an employer who makes them feel valued, like you talked about, and who they can respect and admire. Mm-hmm. And so that comes through authenticity. And is the environment, is how you treat your employees, is how you treat your customers, really that? Because the moment they smell that that's not true, they're like, nah. I mean, like you said, it's an employee market. They're like, why work for a place that treats me bad? Mm-hmm. Why work for a place that I don't actually believe in when there's all of these other job opportunities? Or because they love the gig economy, they're like, why don't I just do my own business, right? But they also super, super want belonging and connection. And so this is why I think we've talked about it. It's been like this nice thing that we historically kind of sprinkled on top of our business. And now it's becoming, no, it's not worth it to me to work in a space and spend that much of my time and energy if these things aren't there. And so, yeah, what's been your experience with that?
Well, I think you're right. And I love that. And I think really we're at a point where employers and small business owners have to start walking the talk. Mm-hmm. I think before they maybe could get away with it for a little bit, where they would say, oh, this is what we believe in. This is our values. This is who we are. And then go off their merry way, and everybody would just kind of do their own thing. And now, another piece, employees want transparency. Well, when you build a culture, communication, transparency are key elements to that. Yes. So what I have been finding is, mm-hmm. as I said earlier, I've been spending so much time on helping employers find employees and how to go about finding qualified talent and stop the constant revolving door. And I'm finding those that focus on culture. And yes, it is not a quick fix. This isn't like, okay, I'm going to go take a seminar. I'm going to read the resources that Mary and Jen provide. And I got a culture. This takes time. It's a building mm-hmm. blocks that, Absolutely. You have to keep building to get there. But what I'm finding with the clients that are seriously diving into it and taking it, seriously and want it in their business are enjoying their businesses more because they really understand who they are. But they've mm-hmm. stopped that frustration of constantly posting for jobs, constantly interviewing, constantly hiring to find that the person doesn't stay long and leaves. So they're able to free themselves up, which one of my passions is helping business owners that are in the 0 to 5 year mark start to build their business, not just work in their business. And you can't do that if you don't have the right staff. So I am seeing tremendous results with the motivated business owner that is willing to adapt to what the employees are looking for in today's times. What are you seeing out there with your clients and in the workforce? Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing very, very similar to the same things. And, because I'm a social worker, and one of the things that we often want are these like really quick fixes. Mm-hmm. And especially because it feels so urgent, right? And when something feels urgent and important, we want the solution to also be quick. And unfortunately, with people work, which is what culture is, right? It's the culmination of all of the folks in your business. That's just it's not feasible. And what I'm noticing is that some folks are starting to dip their toe and then kind of be like, well, maybe I'll just do a new branding guide. Right. Or I'll do, I'll just hire a new HR company to do the hiring for me. not that these are bad solutions. I think they're integral, right, to having a robust business, marketing, HR, all those things. But it doesn't actually get at the underlying thing, the underlying problem. And what you talked about is something that I also truly believe is that you have business owners specifically have to understand who they are and what their priorities are if they're going to have a healthy culture. Because while culture is everybody, it really does start from the top down, right? It's a filtering kind of effect. And so if the business owners say, I'm not going to kill myself for this, then they won't expect their employees to kill themselves for it, right? You know, having lots of conversations with kind of, I work similarly to you, but usually about like 3 to 10 years is kind of where I work with businesses. Found people who have like already kind of established and are kind of hitting that spot where they say, I'm exhausted. And I thought that at this point, I would not have to be working in the business as much as I am. And a lot of the work that I do is to say, well, who are you? What do you actually want? What can only you do? And then how do you start to let some of these other things go and create systems and process? Culture is such a big part of that because it is the bedrock of if any of those things work. If you want to try transparency, but your culture isn't healthy, that could be actually really detrimental to your business.
Right.
And this is why some business owners are like, I can't tell my employees this. Like, I can't have open book policies or tell them about these things and it's like, well, if you can't, then maybe you have a culture issue. Maybe we haven't taught our employees about who we really are or how to handle and have these conversations. If we're not on the same page about who we are, then yeah, this type of transparency that they're asking for would be incredibly scary. So I just want to acknowledge that, right?
Right.
The jump from, okay, I'll just be transparent could not go so well.
Right.
If we haven't done this work already. But for the folks that are taking it seriously, I am noticing how their employees, even if their employees are also tired, right? Because they've been short-staffed and they've been picking up extra shifts, are re-energized to stay and to be engaged because they see their employers taking it seriously and walking the walk that they say.
They are, and they're committed. You know, they're really committed to them and want the businesses to succeed, which is a wonderful trait as well.
Absolutely.
So as we talk about this, and, you know, I talk about, you can tell the businesses that have created a strong culture before culture became the buzzword, because they have a pipeline of employees that want to work for them. And that is a strategy I teach in my hiring course. And a lot of people are like, what? That's a possibility. I could actually have people that want to work for me before I have an open position. And yes, there are a handful of businesses out there that do this very well, and people are looking to work for them. So I know business owners are tired, especially the small business owners that have less than 10 employees. They've been doing everything themselves. And we're not looking to add more to your plate. We're actually looking to help you relieve your plate in the future. But to take this idea, if someone hasn't really started paying attention to this or thinking about their culture, their values, what would you say? How can we break this down for them and just give them a couple small nuggets that they can take with them and start thinking about how to cultivate this like your orchid?
Yes. Well, I like to start with 2 main things: your purpose and your core behaviors or your vital behaviors. So most of the time, and I will say, unless you're doing a business like ours, which is specifically focused on helping people, most of the time, especially product and resale, you start that business because you love your product, right? You're a craftsman, you're really good at it, you're really excited about it, but you aren't like, I did this because I want to provide the best possible work environment, you know? And that's not your area of expertise. So I think one is kind of letting that go, right? That you have to be the expert in that. But one is like really asking yourself, well, what is the purpose? And be honest if that purpose is like, well, I just wanted to provide a better life for my family. Okay, be honest about that though, and say like, I want my business to be a space where people can have healthy families. Fantastic. Doesn't have to be related to, you know, the product that you make at all, but what is your purpose? And then the second thing is, what are those vital behaviors? And some people come up with like 10, do not have 10. No one can remember 10. Like 5 or less that say, this is who we are, and this is how you know you've met someone from our business. And one way that you can start by like to recognize or start brainstorming those is think about the rock stars, like the people that you're just like, yes, love them. Like they get it. And start like thinking about, well, what are they doing? Right? What do you see them doing that you just like love, that feels exactly like how you hope? And then if you don't have any of those, hopefully you do, but you could also work on the flip side of that and say, who drives you nuts? Right? Maybe they're employees within your business, but maybe they're also like why you started your business, because you didn't want that behavior, right, within your culture. Look for like the outliers, right, for on either side, and that can start to help you identify those vital behaviors that says, okay, this is who we want to be, because and this is how we show up and do that.
Right.
I think those would be the 2 steps to start recognizing and start thinking about, how would I even talk about this nebulous topic?
Right.
Those are 2 ways to help kind of make it more tangible for folks.
I love the purpose, because I talk a lot about get to know your why, because there are days that are hard as an entrepreneur. You know, usually we start something because we have a passion and we have a love for it, but there are hard days. And what propels you through those hard days is not the paycheck. It's not your boss. It's your why. And I love those 2 things that you talked about. And one other thing I would add to that too, is sometimes I want the business owners that I work with to think about down the road. I don't want them to get caught up there, but what kind of legacy is this business, are you looking to create with this business? Is this something that you want to pass down to your family? Is this something that eventually you'll want to sell? Is this something you want your community to remember you about? And I think that too can kind of help you start to formulate who you want to be, which will help you kind of start to break down and create those cultures. So
absolutely,
we know that this is a big topic, and both of us have great resources for you. So Mary, you mentioned that you have a management course that's coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how people can find out more information?
Yes. I have a management course coming up specifically designed for middle managers.
Okay.
And any manager can kind of take it, but it's really geared towards folks who, we often promote folks into management roles who are actually just really good at this other job, but then we put them in to be managers because we're like, great, you want a promotion. And sometimes they're like, I didn't want the promotion. And so, I've been doing surveys and work with a lot of folks, and managers often feel ill-equipped, but managers account for 70% of turnover in our businesses, right? How they manage, the feelings that they kind of put on. Gallup has this, and it's kind of remained true throughout. And so managers are a huge part to defining, implementing, and cultivating culture within your workspace. And so this e-course is specifically designed also for folks who are hourly. And I say that because oftentimes they're long or they require a lot of time. And I know that's not feasible for our small businesses, right? So all of the lessons are designed to be 10 minutes or less, so they can do it on their break. They can get feedback. It's an interactive e-course to allow them actual deliberate practice for these skills to really help them level up in the people side of their management. That really, I hope, helps these businesses who are investing in defining their culture, really helps equip their managers to actually live into that and support their employees in all of those spaces.
Okay.
So that'll be launching in early February. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up for my newsletter, which I only send about like 1 or 2 a month. I really do not bombard you. And that will be the first space where you'll be able to get access. Or you can follow me on Instagram, grayspace.Mary DeYoung, and I will be sharing information about it there as well.
Awesome. Okay. And then I have a lot of resources for all of you small businesses that are looking to hire. Even if you're fully staffed right now, I have a lot of creative strategies that can kind of help you build that pipeline that I talked about. Or if you're not fully staffed, what do you need to do, or what are some things that today's employees are looking for? And how can you as a small business start adapting to that? And I do dive into values and culture, We dive into marketing, how to market to find the right employees. So I will have a link to that. I do have a free guide on how to write a job posting, which is also something that needs to shift to get to get attention so that people will actually apply for your open jobs. So you can find me at Next Wave with Jen on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll also put links to both Mary and I in the show notes here. So wonderful conversation. I think we just started, just chipping away at it just a little bit. But you know what? You have to start somewhere. And I don't want small business owners that are listening today to feel overwhelmed by this conversation. I want you to just start having the conversation. And we're here as resources if you need us. So please reach out if we can be of help to you. And, our ultimate goal is just to help you. We know what it takes as small business owners. And our passion is to make sure you thrive for years to come and have a sustainable business. So thanks for watching. And thank you, Mary, for joining me and sharing all your expertise. I always enjoy talking with you. And until next time.
Likewise. Thank you, Jen.